What's up, guys? Welcome back to the PL Pod right here on YouTube. I am Daniel and we are back with another podcast. We're coming at you with back-to-back podcasts this week. Well, one last week, one this week, and I'm very, very excited with who we have on this week. Funnily enough, if any of you are still here from last week's podcast, which was a Tottenham podcast, you might want to click off. The planning around these guests hasn't particularly been excellent to try and keep the audience from one through to the next. If you want to leave a dislike and go, I fully understand. I'm not expecting you to stay around. We'll get on to that in a little bit though, because this is in fact the first podcast I have recorded since the magical Brendan Rodgers was sacked, left Leicester, whatever happened. I obviously did record a full video on it, but I do want to quickly touch on it here. He's gone! Way! He's actually gone. I'm very happy about it. It's taken long enough. And the man's finally gone. I'm sure I will end up bringing this up at many points throughout the next weeks because it was the happiest moment of my life. I was sitting on a bus. This is the content you get in the podcast because you don't in the videos, guys. I was sitting on a bus, coming to my dad's house, saw the notification. Well, I saw a notification saying post by LCSC sent to me, and I was like, okay. And then it was just a load of capital letters, and I was like, come on, pressed on it. He's been sacked. And double checked the post like 20 times. Then I was like, oh my god, he's actually been sacked. So yeah, Rodgers is gone, which means I'm in really high spirits. It also means now the guests don't have to hear me complain about Rodgers every 20 minutes and try and convince them to buy him off us for a Fredo. But we're back, and we're back with a very, very exciting guest. Now, the man I have on the line tonight is not a Leicester fan. Surprisingly, I know, surprisingly. He's an Arsenal fan. So again, Spurs fans, click off, leave the dislike, and I don't blame you if you go now. It's been a pod we've been trying to get done for quite a while, I think it's fair to say. Because I initially messaged this guest all the way back in September. And then to do with the time zone difference, it's currently 8:43 in the evening for me, and is it 9:43 for you? 8:43 for you?
7:43.
7:43 a.m. So we're both at quite different ends of the day. But I'm very, very excited to have him on. It's Arsenal Fan Nation. Welcome to the pod, mate.
Thanks, mate. I think I was going to bring it up myself if you didn't. It's been in the works, to say the least, for quite a while. So yeah, I think it's about time we go on here and do the podcast.
Indeed it is. When I was planning this show, I actually went back to look at the first one I planned, and I managed to take a couple of questions from there, so I saved myself a little bit of work. I went back and had a look, and some of the things I was saying are now quite interesting looking back on it. You know, things like thoughts on Arteta's journey with Arsenal. We will discuss that later on. Xhaka as well we'll touch on. And then sort of things about the summer signings that we can sort of move straight into this, because the summer signings is really strange, because the summer signings, don't get me wrong, they've been good. But compared to how good Arsenal have turned into since last season, the summer signings haven't like blown the squad apart. Why are Arsenal now so good? Is the first question, I guess.
Well, there's
a lot of reasons.
Big question. Yeah, no doubt the summer signings have had a massive impact, and I think it's been a big narrative over the course of the season with Jesus and Zinchenko coming from Man City, the experience of winning 4 league titles there and quite a few domestic trophies as well, like Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. But I think it's just been more of an evolution. It's just everything's just kind of come together at once. So, you know, you see our team's got such a young squad, and all of them have developed in their own way in the past year or so. Mm-hmm. And then I think the signing of Jesus was massive, not only because he's very, very good, but also who we had there most of last season wasn't very good. And Lacazette, and struggled to get around the pitch for at least 60 minutes without, you know, his heart bursting. You know what, like I love him, and he was a great servant to the club, but we absolutely needed to upgrade in that
his
position.
Time had gone.
And yeah, exactly. And it said it all that when Nketiah came in, who he's a pretty decent striker. He's not Jesus in terms of the quality of player overall. when he came in at the end of last season, it was just such a crazy difference, and Lacazette couldn't get back in the team. And then so there was the evolution of up front, and then you see the impact that Zinchenko has. I don't think anyone could have really realised how much of an impact he would have had. But you know, when he's missing, when he's not in this Arsenal team, like Kieran Tierney comes in, and obviously he's a great player, but Zinchenko, he's not a left back when he plays for us. He plays as a left central midfielder, or if you like a lot of Arsenal fans were laughing at the Bukayo Saka opener against Everton a few weeks ago because he's on the bloody right wing to assist him there, and it's just outrageous. Like how has he ended up there? So I think his impact can't be understated. He's just such a top player, and I think him coming into the team and his natural, I don't know the word to say it, but it just comes natural to him to rotate with players and rotate in and out of his natural position. And like if you watch like most Arsenal goals now, we see every player popping up. Like the goal on the weekend, Jesus' second goal. Jesus, when he's playing it through the Trossard, is around the the right 8 position, and Odegaard, where usually on the right central midfielder, is on the left. I think Xhaka's all the way out on the left wing. You know, like they're just
it's mental.
Everyone is it's absolutely mental. I feel for any team that has to come up against us and try and man mark.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've went through a few points with Jesus and Zinchenko there overall, but I mean, I could be talking for hours and why we could, to be honest.
I think when we played you, it was the game where we had a 0.01 XG. So you don't need to tell me about that, because I remember very clearly watching a side sit back for 90 minutes, even when they're losing 1-0. Cheers for going, Brendan. But you've touched on it there. I mean, Zinchenko was obviously an excellent buy. This was a play that when at City, people were like, is he a left back? Is he a defensive midfielder? Some were even saying he's an attacking midfielder. And for a long time, when he was sort of coming up through the system with Foden, I was like, they're both attacking midfielders, because that's what Zinchenko looked like. He was too skillful to be a left back, if anything. And now he's sort of found that role, and it suited him perfectly. They're making players around them better as well, and this is what's annoying. People like Martinelli and Saka, and even Xhaka, the centre backs, everyone's just got better this season because of just a couple new signings. I mean, we'll touch on Arteta a little bit later, but that's clearly down to him. For those who haven't been watching Arsenal this season, and I'm sure this will be quite a short answer because it's not hard to ask how the season's been going, but how is the season going? This is probably quite an easy one.
Pretty good.
Yeah, quite well.
It's not been too bad.
No, there's been worse.
It's been quite the understatement, I think.
Yes.
I don't think anyone really thought we'd be here.
No.
Especially from an outsider's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, I think the signs were there at the start of the season and pre-season, but I don't think any Arsenal fan was really willing to believe it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
When we were in the USA and we spanked Chelsea 4-0, probably said a lot about how their season was going to go as well.
Yes.
And at that point, we're playing some fluid football. Odegaard was getting on the score sheet. I think Zinchenko came in for his first game probably a couple of days after he'd signed and just looked absolutely world class. And Saliba had slotted right into the team after all the talk about him and his contract. And it was such a happy time, and then we came back to the Emirates and beat Sevilla, something like 6-0, Jesus with a hat-trick, and it was all looking really rosy. But I think at that point we were just thinking, look, I think we're destined for top 4 this season, or we have a really good shout of it, and to be here where we are now, 8 points clear of Man City, I think if you told me that a year ago, or I think it was just about a year ago when we were going through that 3-match run of losses when we lost against like Brighton, Southampton and Crystal Palace all in a row and felt like we were bottling top 4, I would have said a few expletives to you.
Yes.
I think I wouldn't have been too happy with that type of nonsense talk, but
no,
it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, I've just gone back and looked at the Premier League predictions now. I tipped you to finish 5th at the start of the season, putting Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool and City all ahead of you.
Well,
I do just want to check. Please don't say I put Liverpool as winners, because I have a feeling I put Liverpool to win the Premier League. I put Liverpool second. Thank God I put Liverpool second. Oh, that would have not looked good. Because if City don't win it, that's fine. You know, if they come second, cool. If I put God, all right. But yeah, I put you 5th, and that says a lot of sort of how good you've been compared to how good we expect you to be. That people are saying sort of, challenging for top 4. Somebody like Jesus is going to come in and make a big impact, which he has done. But they weren't expecting him to make people like Martinelli and Saka around him even better, I guess. And yeah, Arsenal have just simply been excellent. We touched on the past there. We'll move forward to the future. What does the run-in look like for this Arsenal side?
You know what? I'll have to remind myself.
Do you want me to get it up for you?
I can get it up, don't worry.
Right.
I'll just be 2 seconds.
No worries.
But to be honest, a lot of people have been talking about how it is slightly more difficult than Man City's. I think it would be fair to say in terms of the Premier League results, but people fail to remember that they're still in the Champions League and they've still got to face arguably one of the best squads in Europe.
Yes.
Bayern Munich.
Indeed.
Obviously, a lot of talk about the managerial situation and Nagelsmann being very surprisingly sacked.
Indeed.
Bringing in Tuchel, who's won a Champions League just a couple of seasons ago, doesn't seem like a bad idea either.
No.
But overall, I have to be very politically correct as an Arsenal fan and say you've just got to take it one game at a time. And,
yes.
Just got to say the same old thing that the manager and the players say, but it's absolutely true because I think that's what they're thinking and I think that's what's making it work.
Yeah.
Especially now that we've just got one competition to focus on and pretty much just playing one game per week.
Yeah.
We've got Liverpool this weekend, I think.
You do.
At Anfield, it comes with it. So, despite how poor they've been,
still a challenge.
Going to Anfield and the way that we've been at Anfield for the last decade, to be fair, I don't actually really know because I'm only 19, but I've heard a lot of fans say that this has been a thing that's gone on since pretty much the 80s. Like Arsenal have never been good at Anfield. So, to get this off that monkey off our back and and win there would be massive. One. And a lot of Arsenal fans are treating it as if if we win there, we've almost got one hand on it. Which I think I see what they mean by.
I agree. Looking at the running, I think if you beat Liverpool, you can't beat Arsenal. You are Arsenal. You'll then have West Ham and Southampton, which you should beat both of them easily. I mean, West Ham aren't showing much, and Southampton, well. Look at Southampton. I know obviously you've had results in the past, so if West Ham were to maybe change their manager right before that game, then it could be an Everton repeat, but still you'd expect to pick up the points. It's that chunk of City, Chelsea and Newcastle. 3 back-to-back games there. That's where you're going to drop the points, and that if you can come out of that still, sort of 3 points clear, you easily win the Premier League in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, as you said with that West Ham game, it probably is all down to if there was a managerial bounce, you never know. But I'm going to say one name to you.
Okay.
And that player is going to be the difference.
Okay.
I think it could be Rob Holding.
Rob, not the name I was expecting. I was expecting to maybe hear Trossard or somebody like that. Was not expecting Rob Holding. No.
The reason I say Rob Holding is because in those big fixtures against a Man City or a Liverpool, I'm not sure if you're aware about William Saliba's injury situation.
Yes, I've heard of that, yes.
But essentially, Arteta has pretty much been doing his best to get him cleared to just be able to make it to the end of the season and see if they just try and play with his injury and contribute in the best way he can. And I'm not sure how much you've seen of Rob Holding, but he's not the quickest. And we play a very high line. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans still have massive PTSD of last season where he came into the team for his first Premier League start of the season against Spurs and then got sent off within 30 minutes.
Yes.
And really struggled with Son. And you can just imagine a similar situation happening with a Cody Gakpo or a Salah, you know, because of the pace they have and the ability they have. And Rob Holding, it really worries you. It really
yeah,
worries
I know
you.
what you mean.
No disrespect to Rob Holding, because I actually think he's quite a good defender, but he just does not suit our system at all. Like, I could see him being brilliant for a Crystal Palace or a team that's willing to sit a bit deeper and play on the counter. Very good box defender, as you've seen. Probably a lot of Arsenal fans with the Rob Holding 5-2-3 meme when he comes on the 85th minute, and Arsenal will go to like a 5 or a 6 at the back last season to try and smash out a win, and he'd bring out every time he'd put up the 5 fingers showing that we're going to 5 at the back, and every Arsenal fan would just have a release of calmness. We'd be like, oh, Rob Holding's here to save the day, guys, don't worry.
Indeed.
So yeah.
Yeah. I not the answer I was expecting. When you said there about the high line, I had to keep everything I had to myself to not make any hairline jokes. Obviously, you know, Holding's now got a high hairline, which he didn't before. So, Rob, if you're listening, congratulations on getting hair. You've done really well. I don't know if you went to Turkey, I'm going to presume you did, but well done you, because you might not be able to play in a high line, but at least you've got a high line of hair. I don't know if that works. Moving on, because this is...
I just want to say one thing. I think you talked about that Xhaka redemption arc. Rob Holding's hairline redemption arc.
Is it better? Is it better?
I've got to say it's better. Like, as someone who constantly worries about their hairline because of their father's genes and how bald he went, how early. Yes. I gotta say, that is incredibly impressive. Like, he genuinely, that haircut is something that most people couldn't achieve, bald or not. But to go from completely bald to that's extraordinary. You know, I'm sure he's saying to Xhaka himself, you know, like, come on, mate, I deserve the credit.
I think you're already up there with my favourite guests, because you've actually taken my stupid ideas and run with them. We've just had a 2-minute conversation about Rob Holding's hair. Quality. Absolute quality, that. I guess the next question, and it's a quite easy question, not that you're going to probably want to answer it, as you will, because you've already said, you know, one game at a time. Will Arsenal win the Premier League? Here's you trying to debate jinxing it and also wanting to be confident in the side, and also, so good luck.
Okay, one game at a time. I've got to say, every single game I get more and more confident about it.
Yes.
But at the same time, as you said, I don't want to be that guy that jinx it. And every single podcaster I listen to myself, all the Arsenal podcasters, none of them want to do the same, so I don't want to be that guy. But I tell you what, if we go and beat Liverpool this weekend, I'm going to find it very hard not to say it, because every single season I go to Anfield. Well, I don't go to Anfield. I'm in New Zealand, but my older brother and my dad are both Liverpool fans, and every single time I try and get myself hyped up and say, "Oh, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the year," even though we'd be turning up to Anfield with bloody Lichtsteiner and Socrates in the back. I'd still be piping up and so confident that we're maybe going to do it this year, and then we go get spanked 4 or 5-0, and then my heart's broken again. But this season, it feels like we really, really should do something there. Not that we could do it, but we really should, because we are a lot better than Liverpool this season. And I find it very hard to say that we aren't going to win the league if we win there, because of all the horrible history. And to be honest, I think no one could really argue that we wouldn't deserve it, because I mean, we're gonna, like, at this rate, it looks like we're gonna finish at least on the late 80s, 90 points, and that's a terrific season. As much as people want to talk about Man City's downfall, which I think is very overstated anyways, I just think, like, a lot of people try and discredit us, and a lot of people in the media try and discredit the type of season Arsenal having. And with all due respect, I've not liked the comparison with us and your guys' Leicester City title season, because, listen,
we're very different.
That was an awesome team, but I think Ben White's a little bit better than Danny Simpson, with all due respect. Like, I think
I mean, the impact subs of Jeffrey Schlupp compared to Leandro Trossard, similar levels in my opinion. I mean, one of them now plays in midfield for Crystal Palace, but I mean, Leonardo Rogel was the guy who came off the bench. I'm pretty sure he's playing like the third division of Spain now. So personally, but yeah, I do see your point. You've got a lot better squad than us, and we were more underdogs. I mean, we're favourites for relegation.
Yeah. And I also think the fact that this team has been building for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Since Arteta came in December 2019, so yeah, a long time. Like people don't realise, like people try and, or like at least the media try and act like, oh, this is just all out of the blue, which in some respects it is, because obviously we didn't even make the top 4 last season, but it's been building. There's a young team, and it's just kind of all, as I said once, and I think actually Arteta said in his press conference, maybe at the start of last season, he said this project is just going to go bang, and
it did.
I think it has went bang this season,
and it did. When you were speaking about that Liverpool game, I got flashbacks to when we won it. Yes, I know I'm talking about us again. Surprise, surprise. Take off your bingo cards, guys. Daniel's mentioned Leicester City 6 times in the podcast. I know. But it gave me flashbacks to when we beat Spurs. I don't know if you remember it, because obviously you were in the title challenge. We beat Spurs 1-0. Robert Huth rose highest above everyone, headed into the top corner. And I was like, we're going to win the league. After that game, I was like, we're actually going to do it. Little, what would I have been? 5, 6, 7-year-old Daniel? When was it? 8 years ago? No, I don't even know what it would have been. And that was in year 5 at school, if that helps. Not to give too much personal information away. Please don't go and stalk where I went to school. But I remember that, so I sort of get the sensation. I think if you guys do beat Liverpool, that will be what you get. I think if you beat Liverpool, you will sort of get that feeling of, it's like, we're actually going to do this now. And yes, you've got that run of 3 where you've got Chelsea, City and Newcastle. But I still think even if you beat Liverpool as a fan base, you're kind of going to go, all right, we're actually going to win it now. And then you might have a Crystal Palace moment with us where the security would start kicking us out because we were all there for so long singing we're going to win the league.
Well, I just want to remember, is that Spurs game an away game?
It was at White Hart Lane, yes.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember it, because I mean, when I think, in 2015-16 I would have been fairly young as well, and I don't think my parents would even let me get up for those games at that time.
Well, I mean, I have a memory of winning the league, which I'll tell you off recordings. I've said it on here far too many times. But
I think I completely agree. Just to answer your question, that I think a lot of Arsenal fans are very, very wary to be that confident. But a lot of people outside of the club, like if I quite like listening to like a Mark Goldbridge, for example.
Great guy. Yes.
It's hilarious, but also I think he's got some very non-biased opinions.
He does.
But he always like seems to say like, well, yeah, I think they'll do it. And even for, like, I'm not sure. Do you know Stevie Nicol from ESPN?
I can't say I do. No, can't say I do.
So ESPN FC, they have their show, and
yes.
Often they get a lot of criticism for some of their opinions, and I've never been a big fan of Stevie Nicol, who's a Liverpool Scottish former footballer, massive Liverpool fan. He's always criticised Arsenal. At times it felt like unfairly, but even this season he's been one of the biggest advocates for Arsenal and their team.
Oh wow!
Whereas a lot of Arsenal fans are very pessimistic and aren't willing to put their foot forth and say, yeah, we're going to do it, which is understandable with all the how long it's been. But yeah, I think if we won at Liverpool with all the history we had there, I think everyone, including me, would find it very difficult to not say we're not going to do it.
Indeed, yeah. I think I do think you will do it. I'll go ahead myself and say I think you will. I've been saying it since probably about December, January. I just think they're going to do this. City are going through a transition, and I think Arsenal at the perfect time. And I know the mantra, one game at a time. We were the kings of one game at a time. Get to 40 points and then go from there. Then always get Europa League football, and we were basically mathematically guaranteed it. So I get the mantra. And obviously that mantra comes for the manager, who we'll move on to now. Arteta, have you always believed that would be the man to take Arsenal to the heights? I mean, I can't imagine you would believe anybody would take it to the heights they are now, but have you always believed that Arteta was going to be the man for Arsenal?
Well, that is a question that could expose a fair few Arsenal fans.
It is. It is, yes.
But to be honest, I would say more than most.
Okay.
When he first came in, I was very wary because a lot of the media narrative around him was that he was just Pep's cone boy, you know, and he'd never coached another team. I think at the time, because 2019 it must have been 14 or 15. I think I was trying to say that we should get Ancelotti in.
Wow.
Which is a very, very different direction, and
it is.
To be fair, he's done fairly well at Real Madrid, to say the least. But
one way to put it.
But yeah, I'd say generally, I've since that first press conference he had when he came in, I think it changed a lot of people's opinions on what he was. Like, he was so confident in his own abilities and his own philosophy. And it wasn't in the same way that like a Jose Mourinho, I'm the special one type press conference, but he was just so, the way he spoke was just so moving in the way that everyone just really believed what he was saying because he believed what he was saying. And to make it easier, I could probably tell you the two times that I probably started to not believe and then very quickly believed in him again.
Yeah, okay.
I want to actually, you know what, I'll leave it to you. I'll say there was 2 moments in his tenure where I thought maybe he should go. Where do you think?
I'm going to say, I think, obviously I said to you I was watching All or Nothing earlier on. I think after that first 3 games of the season, 0 points from 9 games, a lot of fans were saying they wanted him out. There's someone he spent lots of money on, you know, everyone at that point was saying, 32 million for a backup goalkeeper. That guy's turned out to be Aaron Ramsdale and seems to be a very, very good signing. Is that one of the times?
That is one of the times.
When's
and I'll give you a hint, one of the other times was the season before.
Okay, did you finish 8th that season, I want to say?
7th or 8th? We're 8th, yeah.
You did get European football, did you?
Arteta finished 8th twice in a row.
Yeah. Wow, okay. So, not too...
It was Villarreal when we got knocked out of the Europa League.
And that's really
pretty, very, very disappointing performance in that game. And I think he tried to play Emil Smith-Rowe as a false 9 in the first leg, and it had never been done before. And and I feel for him now because some of the players we had available at that point, and look at the squad we have now, it's just it's a crazy difference. But I think generally I've stuck by him a lot of the times, and I think it was after that Man City game when we lost 5-0, when we'd lost our first 3 games in a row of the season. I think we'd gone 3-0 down in like the 55th minute, and we already had a player sent off. And I just went to bed because it was 3 a.m. I was like, oh fuck this. Like,
I'm off.
I mean, sorry, you might have to censor me for that, but
no, it's fine. I
just could not handle it, and then I think. Even though I wanted to go to bed, I couldn't really, so I just didn't look at my phone, didn't look at the score, and then I was like, oh shit, I have to look at the score now.
Yep.
And I looked at it, was 4-0 I think, and Rodgers had scored, and I was like, oh okay, now I actually am going to go to bed.
Yeah.
I actually fully turned my phone off. I was like, I'm not waking up. I think I had school in the morning as well, and I decided, nah, I'm not even going to go to school. I'm just going to sleep.
Yeah.
I need to sleep. I'm going to bed.
I don't really know where to start after all that, so I'll start with the last thing you said.
Sorry about that, it was a bit of a ramble.
Mate, you have no idea how much I love people talking. I'll probably talk to you more off it. But in a pod where I don't have to do much work, it is the greatest thing on earth, because it's like this. I do know about the club, but I don't know as much as you do. So yeah, just speak. I love it. In terms of being in a moment where you've sort of given up on a side, I've been there. It was Spartak Moscow, second leg in the Europa League. We were losing after drawing the first leg. I remember I missed the last 15 minutes. This was the first any minutes of a match I'd missed in 2 years. Nowadays I think it's probably a little bit more, considering I haven't particularly wanted to watch the side recently. But yeah, I switched up my iPad off because I was fuming, and the bloke had just brought on a 18-year-old Nuno Tavares. Was it? No, what's his name? Sydney Tavares for his debut. So I wasn't happy. But yeah,
I was going to say Nuno Tavares. Oh wow.
Sydney Tavares, same name. The bloke then left us at the end of the season because he wanted first team football, and I don't think he's ever played since. So well done, mate.
I've never heard of him. So.
No, went to Porto's B team eventually. So well done, you, my friend. And the other thing was you talking about wanting Arteta gone, and sort of when you thought it would be time to move on. I've never been in a situation where I've wanted a manager gone and then have had to kind of turn back on that. I have a feeling yours wasn't really too, it wasn't like, I need him gone now. Well, you'll have to tell me. Was it I need him gone now? Was it I think it's time to move on? Because they're two very different things.
No, I think it's very different, because I think I backed him through that absolutely horrid run of about 15 games. Well, maybe not 15 games, but I think we actually were 15th in December 2020 it was, and we'd not won in about 3 months, something like that, and I still backed him after that because I said, look at the players he has at his disposal, and then try and come up with an argument of why he shouldn't be 15th.
Yeah.
It was a shocking team, and coming like for him to have his first full season without fans in the stadium, and it must be pretty hard to get momentum back for that team. But yeah, as you said, it wasn't a he has to go, he's shocking.
No.
It wasn't that. It just it felt like at that point that maybe he was just a little bit inexperienced, and it felt like maybe he needs to make his mistakes somewhere else. I don't think that was it was not a wild opinion at all at that point in the Arsenal fan base. I think a lot of people were thinking the same. But generally, he really has proved me wrong, and absolutely. And I say proved me wrong, but I mean, like when I say I wanted him sacked, I did not want him. Like I probably wanted him sacked for the day of that game, and then the next day I thought, you know what, it's the next day I calmed down.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
And realised, I think a lot of people have some very raw opinions straight after a game or the day of a game.
Yeah.
And the next day they could wake up and feel a little bit more calm and realise football's not the only thing.
I get that. You see, I've never had to go back on anything. I was at a point where I wanted a manager to move on, and then I learned to absolutely hate his guts. But we'll move on, so I don't punch something. Because, this has been a very long segment, so I will... let's quickly speak about Xhaka. Just speak to me about Xhaka's redemption, because this has been we touched on it with Rob Holding's hairline, the second best redemption in the Arsenal squad behind said hairline. Just wow, from a guy that everybody hated as captain to now a simply excellent midfielder. Wow,
I mean, I could not speak more highly of Xhaka. I think he's probably my favourite player now. Which, if you said that to me in 2019, even though I think I probably liked him more than a lot of people did, I still think I would have been fairly shocked that in 2023 he'd still be here and he would be one of the players that I love the most, and is still somewhat captaining the side. Extraordinary, And as I said before, I'm not sure if it was actually on record when we were just talking about it earlier, but he was playing as almost a deep line playmaker under Wenger and Emery, and it's been shown over the last season a bit with Arteta that it was just never his role. It really brought out all the worst in him, and in terms of the speed, lacking of speed,
yes,
and his rashness, and maybe his mistiming of tackles as well. I just don't think that was his role. When I'm sure you would have played football. When you can have all the good qualities you want, but if you're someone that lacks pace, which I can definitely agree with, I consider myself a Jorginho level of speed when I'm playing in midfield. You need someone that's going to get the best out of you. You need the system to work, otherwise your flaws will just get exposed. And I think that's fair to say with Xhaka, especially with Wenger and Emery, there was just such a lack of structure to the way we played. That made him just really exposed. And then you see the way that Arteta has moved him into this more of an attacking role this season, which a lot of people, I say this season, but I mean he's actually been there since about December 2021, but people were only just taking notice of it because now he's scoring goals. But yeah, just extraordinary, really. Like, I don't think anyone thought he would be able to score the goals that he has this season. He's looked fairly natural there. I know a lot of people, he has some moments where he's obviously not like a Jude Bellingham-esque or Alexis McAllister type 8 that like some players that some Arsenal fans have brought up as potential Xhaka replacements, but he's just extraordinary, and I think he would be a lot more difficult to replace than people make out. Like a lot of Arsenal fans, when we lose a game or draw a game and doesn't feel like we've scored enough goals, and there's been a few moments where Xhaka gets it on the turn and looks a little bit slow to get there or struggles with his touch, people instantly go, well, that's where we can improve. But I think his flaws are easier to see than the brilliance he actually does bring to us, and some of the things he does do for us are things that a player like a McAllister or a Jude Bellingham couldn't do. It's just the ball security, the strength. I think he's very underrated as well.
Indeed, right. Well, that is the longest first segment I think we've ever done. I think you've eclipsed the previous time for about 30 minutes. So well done. We'll take a short break here before we come back to either grade every first team Arsenal player season or do a tier list of summer transfer targets. I haven't decided which yet, so let's do that. We are back from another break to come back and rank every Arsenal player's season so far. It's a very standard ranking of the tier list here. We've got an A to F system. We're doing 2 gradings today actually for you, so I hope you enjoy that. We've got A, B, C, D and F. It's quite simple. In terms of where my grades are this year, we've got media in B, we've got English in C, and then we've got philosophy flirting between D and E. So yes. Let's get it started then. What place should we get it started with?
Let's start from goalkeeper, right?
Oh, do you want to start from goalkeeper? All right. Let's go. Should we? You know what? We're not going to go for Ramsdale. I know we're going to go for Matt Turner.
Oh, okay. I'll tell you what. I was actually thinking about this when you sent the plan through last night. I thought Matt Turner is a really interesting one because at the start of the season, or at the start of the pre-season rather, we played Cologne, I believe, in Germany, and he had not a bit of a mare, but in one of the goals he was probably a little bit to blame for, could have done better. And you would not believe the state of Arsenal Twitter. They just absolutely lost their shit. And I was like, guys, come on, it's a pre-season game. If you hadn't watched this game, you wouldn't even know it happened. So calm down, please. And I think that the expectation that Arsenal fans had of a second choice goalkeeper after last season when we had Bernd Leno all season. Yeah. Which is pretty unprecedented for any team to have a second goalkeeper as good as Bernd Leno. But yeah, I think he's actually been really, really good this season. I mean, as good as a backup goalkeeper can be. But when he's played in the limited time we had in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup and in the Europa League, he's really impressed. He came into the team with a lot of people being very aware that his passing was not his strong point, which is interesting that we signed him after Ramsdale, and we're very aware of what we wanted from a goalkeeper. But his actual shot stopping had a very high reputation coming from the MLS, and he's lived up to that. His shot stopping has been very good, and I wouldn't say he's really made any mistakes. Actually, having said that, maybe didn't look too sharp on Sporting Lisbon's first goal in the 2-2 before in the first leg before we got knocked out. But generally, as a backup goalkeeper, you can't ask for loads. You can't expect him to be at the same level as Ramsdale because he's only playing maybe 7-8 games a season. Yeah. So I think I'd give him a solid B.
B? Wow, okay. And he doesn't like Spurs either, so that helps. He doesn't sign Spurs shirts.
Yeah, exactly.
So that probably bumps him up because, yes, he doesn't like Spurs.
A+.
If that's all it takes, then, well, if that's all it takes, then...
you can put You can put Carl Jenkinson up as a...
Exactly. I was going to say, do I hate Spurs? I probably hate Spurs more than I hate Arsenal. But that's just because it's Spurs and it's Spursy and also...
Spurs, yeah.
Funny, isn't it? If you're still listening, Spurs news from last week, I do apologise. You're a great guy. I might send that to him. Just be like, yo lads, can we get some beef going on here, please?
Have a rap battle. This track. Bring back this track season.
Bring back, to be fair, after KSI's recent comments in a Sidemen video, it might happen anyway.
That's something we don't want to get into.
Yes, I was going to say, let's move on, because I'm not trying to get myself cancelled today. Let's move on.
Not in my first appearance here.
Please not. Let's move on to a man who cancelled himself and then came back from being cancelled, Granit Xhaka. That's good.
I do like that. If there was a definition of cancelled in the Arsenal fan base, it'd be Xhaka is this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been excellent this season. Without talking too much about his redemption arc, this season specifically, he's been brilliant. I think we've talked about him enough generally, so I'll just give him a rating of A.
A. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he deserves that.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right, let's move on from him to his defence midfield partner, Thomas Partey.
So he's an interesting one, definitely. His injury record is incredibly frustrating, but when he does play, he's brilliant. But I think one of my favourite, I'm not sure if it's a quote from someone specifically or just a saying, but one of the best abilities is availability, and he is not available very often when we need him to. But I tell you what, I can't give him, like, you can't go and give Thomas Partey a C or a D because he's been brilliant every time he's played. But I can't bring myself to give him an A because he's just, every single time he goes away from an international break, you're absolutely shitting yourself that he's not going to come back match fit.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time he isn't. He misses a few games. And I mean, it's been a lot better this season than it was last. But yeah, I think I have to give him a B.
A B, okay, fair enough. That is Thomas Partey. Yes, I'm just having to double check. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's move from Thomas Partey to another man who has been injured recently. I'm really going to keep going with these links until I run out. Gabriel Jesus.
I think probably quite a similar thing for him, to be fair. He's been brilliant when he's played, and he's been evolutionary. It's just been absolutely superb when he has played, and he's made such a difference to what that striker role is now for Arsenal. But yeah, obviously he's had a quite extended absence from the team, and it's hard. It is quite hard to say an A because of that, and also he did have quite a barren run in front of goal, despite of how well he played.
Did, yes.
And he is a number 9, and at the end of the day, your number 9 has to score goals, and he should have been scoring more goals than he did. He had his chances. It wasn't like he wasn't getting chances. But I find it hard to give him anything else other than a B, because, yeah, Arsenal have been quite good this season, so I think there might be quite a few A's and B's. Okay,
fair enough. I'm trying to think of another link now, and I'm really starting to struggle with these. Gabriel Jesus, where's the next link? Is there
another Gabriel, maybe?
You took it out. Genuine was going to go for another Brazilian, but Gabriel's even better. What about the other? Oh well, you know what? Oh, which Gabriel? You know what? Let's go for the one who's got a first name of Gabriel. I don't know if the centre back one does. No, his man is. We're going for Martinelli. Yeah, we're going for Martinelli, the one who's not. This is confusing. Please don't keep buying Gabriels.
Yes.
In case you're listening, Edu.
Martinelli is an interesting one because if you'd asked me this a few months ago, I would have probably said B. But he's scored 6 in his last 7, I think. He's been absolutely superb over the last few weeks, and that is to no detriment of Trossard coming into the team. A lot of talk when Martinelli wasn't too sharp coming back from the World Cup was that he didn't suit playing with any Nketiah as well as he did Jesus. But since Trossard came into that false nine role, plays it far more similarly than to Jesus than Nketiah did. He's looked back to his best like he did at the start of the season, and yeah, I think he's been really superb. I think he's got 13 goals this season, which is actually more goal contributions that he had in all of last season, and that's just goals. So yeah, it's been a massive increase in goal contributions this season, and he really has been brilliant. And I think maybe his creative side has been really understated because of I think Saka's maybe on like 10 assists this season. He's been superb, but his ex-assists is actually like he's really outperforming his ex-assists, whereas Martinelli has been really underperforming it. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Underperforming his XA.
He had something like 6 XA a few weeks ago, and he'd only had 2 assists, which just showed that. I think it was probably Gabriel Jesus on the end of those chances at the start of the season where he wasn't taking
possibly,
them. Yeah. But yeah, I think he's been superb, and I think an A would be fair.
An A would be fair. Well, there we go. An A for Gabriel Martinelli. Why have I made myself to do this? A link to Gabriel Martinelli. I'm not going to... You know what? We will do. Gabriel Malgaches.
Magalash.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. Gabriel. What are we saying about Gabriel's season?
Incredibly underrated by not just some of the people in the fan base. I think a lot of people in the fan base will agree that he is a very good defender, but I think most people outside of Arsenal didn't rate him, because when you'd see the many highlights of Arsenal each week, and he is capable of making a little error coming into a goal, and I think people will remember him for that. But since that error he made against Fulham at the start of the season, where he gave it away to Mitrovic, he really hasn't put a foot wrong, and a lot of people will be surprised to hear that he's actually been a lot better than William Saliba this season.
Okay.
And all the talk of the town has been William Saliba. He's been and Saliba has been good, but you can tell he's 21. You know, you can tell that he's a little bit raw, and you can tell that Gabriel is 3 or 4 years older than him, and he's looked absolutely brilliant. He's so strong. He's so fast. He's a lot better with the ball than people give him credit for, just because of how, I think, big and probably a little bit more unnatural it looks to him.
Yeah.
Because of how big he is. Sometimes it looks like he's not that natural on the ball, but he is, and he's so clean with the ball at his feet. And yeah, I think, very, very underrated, and he would be in my Premier League team for the season, for sure. So I think an A would be what I'd give him.
An A, there we go, for Gabriel, Mr. Not going to bother pronouncing his surname. Gabriel to Saliba. We'll touch on his other centre-back partner. How has he done so far this season?
As I said, he's been very good. I'd say Gabriel has been better overall this season. But he's been superb. I think a lot of the worry about him at the start of the season, some were worried that he wouldn't sign his contract because his start to his Arsenal career has been very jumpy and quite erratic. I think it's been probably more overstated than what it would have been actually, like in terms of the relationship between Arteta and Saliba. There was a lot of talk about it in the media because, I mean, when he was doing superb in France, our defence was doing fairly poor, and everyone was saying, well, why has he been loaned out? But I think this season has proved exactly why he's been loaned out, because he has been absolutely superb. He's definitely had his moments that he hasn't looked too sharp on. Like, I mean, there was a lot of talk about when we played Brentford and Ivan Toney and William Saliba were involved in 12 duels, 12 duels, and Ivan Toney won 11 of them.
Wow.
Which I think, to be honest, speaks more to Ivan Toney than does William Saliba, because
he is incredible.
He is unreal. I'd love Arsenal to sign him in the summer, but I wouldn't bet on that.
But
Yeah.
he might bet on it.
Yeah, he probably will.
He'll be
He'll
whacking a
probably bet
five.
on him signing for bloody Wigan, you know. He's got that much of a
He'll be whacking a five on himself, going to all the big sides. Spot himself then, just in case, Ivan.
We do not condone betting here, just to say.
No, especially not if you're a professional footballer.
Unless Daniel has a sponsorship with
No. Hey, if you're listening though, I will happily endorse anything. Maybe not anything. I will happily endorse most things. If you're coming out of Romania, Tate, I'm not going to be sponsored by you because I don't want to get cancelled. Anything else though, please drop me an email. I'm sure I'll respond because I do not have any life. Saliba, where are we putting him?
Considering I put Gabriel at A and I said he's not been as good, I'll give him a B.
A B, alright. There we go. 3 in A, 4 in B. Very top heavy tier list so far. Let's move from Gabriel. Why are you doing this, Daniel? Let's move from Gabriel to a man who is Jorginho Brazilian? I know he's Italian, but I swear there was rumours that he was Brazilian.
I think so.
Let's go from Gabriel to another Brazilian, Jorginho. But yeah, come on.
Okay.
Again, I'm really proud of myself.
That.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, don't check it just in case, please.
So Jorginho is an interesting one. Obviously, he came in January, so there's less judging room.
Indeed.
But I think he has done his job very, very well. His job was to come in and do what Thomas Partey does for this team, at least from an attacking perspective, because I don't think it would be fair to expect Jorginho with his qualities to bring what Thomas Partey does from a defensive point of view. But I think with the panic within the Arsenal fan base when we didn't get Cancelo and we're talking about getting Jorginho on deadline day because of our history with signing Chelsea players like Willian. And Louise and Petr Cech.
Oh God, yeah.
It's not gone well,
no,
to say the least. And people feel quite burnt from that. But I think people have to realise it's a very different situation, and Jorginho is a serial winner. You know, he's won the Euros, he's won the Champions League, he's won. He hasn't won the Serie A with Napoli, but he was in a very good Napoli side. And yeah, he's a very good player, and he's came in and done very, very well. But I find it hard to give him an A because he's not really been a main man for Arsenal, but he's had some very good moments. So yeah, I think another B would be fair.
Another B. Sorry, E. Definitely not a E. No.
Sorry, I do assume we're going off like kind of school grading, right?
Yeah, we are.
Off that.
We are,
because
yes.
I don't really feel like any of these players deserve a C. Sorry, I know.
No, yeah, I know it's kind of harsh. Let's go for somebody that might deserve a C. Who deserves a C? Reece Nelson. He probably doesn't deserve a B, does he? I know he's popped up with a couple of decent goals, but has he done enough to deserve that B? Over to you, my friend. Oh, that was very TV-like.
Look, he has. No one expected him to have the impact he has had
no.
on his team, I don't think. But, as you said, yeah, not everyone could go and B.
Yeah.
And there's also a reason people didn't think he was going to have that impact, because, I mean, he hasn't gotten into the team pretty much all season until the last few months, and that has to be due to something. There has been there's been a few times where Arteta has been asked about him, and he's kind of answered with like almost a call to action to him, and saying like you got to, almost like he's saying that he needs to work harder to get into the team. And as much as I would love to give Reece Nelson a B or an A, he's not been in the team very much, and I'll have to give him a C.
Okay.
And sorry, just while we're talking about Reece Nelson, I do want to bring this up because I want to bring this up to as many people as possible.
Where's this going?
When he first came into the team and he had his pre-season with Arsenal in Sydney in Australia, I rated him so much that I got his name on the back of my shirt in 2017
Wow.
with the number 61 on it.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've been praying for him to become Arsenal's best ever player because that would be unreal to be able to show off his first ever Arsenal jersey from 2017. So I'm still praying for that.
Yeah, fair enough. I do feel compelled to tell you if we could get an F, that would be lovely for the thumbnail. If by any chance you wanted
I'll find a reason.
If by any chance you wanted to say like Saka, you're going into the F tier to make my thumbnail look better. I'm not expecting you to, but yeah. Nah, you know what? There might be some player on here you can put into the F tier, or I'll just have to create somebody. We'll find the under-9 goalkeeper who shipped like 23 goals this season, and they can go into the F tier. Let's move from Reece Nelson to the man he is competing with at right wing. We are still going Bukayo Saka.
F. No.
Yes, please. Yeah. No. Obviously not.
No. He's I mean, what else can be said about Saka? He's been superb once again, and he's been carrying us ever since we were about 15th in the league in 2020, and he's just stepped up to the plate, and for such a young man to be doing what he's doing. I know it sounds a bit silly me saying young man when I'm younger than him, but he's genuinely he's brilliant, and I think the last few seasons he's been great, but I think everyone else is starting to really take notice of him because he's leading us to something really meaningful now.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think he's getting better and better each year, and it feels now that I was thinking about this the last few days. Saka feels like the difference between him this season and last season maybe is that although he's always been real hungry to prove himself, it feels like he's got like this fire inside him this season where he wants to be that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wants to be that guy for Arsenal, the main guy, the main man, and I mean he has been.
Yeah, he has. So, it's obvious.
I know. I don't want to give up too many A's, but if there's someone that deserves an A in this team, it's Saka.
And you feel like his performances have really come good ever since that Euros final. Yeah,
I mean, the mentality on him, it's just unreal. Like the amount of abuse he received is obviously so unwelcomed and horrible. But he has just absolutely rose to the occasion. We needed a hero. He is the hero that Arsenal did not deserve, but we certainly needed at that point.
Yes. Moving from a hero that Arsenal deserved and needed to a guy who hasn't been a hero yet, but might at some point. Who am I going to disrespect here? Tomiyasu hasn't been a hero yet for you, I think is probably fair. Yeah, he hasn't.
It's been an interesting season for Tomiyasu because last season when we didn't have depth in those positions, in right back or in left back, he played every time we could get him on the pitch, even with play strapping everywhere. You know, as soon as we could get him on the pitch, he'd be on there. But this season, he hasn't been needed as much. I think the start of the season, he got injured right before the Crystal Palace game, and then Ben White came in and was superb. And I don't think anyone would have expected Ben White to have the season he has had at right back, and we will get on to him later, but I think that was to a detriment of Tomiyasu's game time. And maybe it's almost to the benefit of him, though, because if he was our only right back this season, and we're relying on him for fitness, as we've seen this season, and we've seen now that he's out to the end of the season, there'd probably be a lot more flack given to him about whether he's going to be the guy for us or not. But because we've had the depth to cover for him, it's been okay. He pretty much barely played in the Premier League until I think it was Liverpool away. Oh no, so Liverpool home.
Okay. I was going to say Liverpool away is next.
No, that's this weekend. But yeah, Tomiyasu came in at left back, and everyone was a little bit surprised. But he was brilliant, and he played. He just put Mo Salah in his pocket, and it was excellent for a few weeks there. And then I think Zinchenko came back from injury, and there's a lot of talk when Tomiyasu was playing at left back because obviously we've got Kieran Tierney at left back and he wasn't playing, Zinchenko was injured. But I mean, Tomiyasu proved that he deserved to be there. He looks more of a natural fit almost.
Okay.
Than Kieran Tierney in that Zinchenko left back / right midfielder role.
Yeah, very strange role that Zinchenko plays, as we've covered.
Yeah, quite extraordinary. But,
indeed. Where does Tomiyasu go then?
I'd give him a C.
Okay. I will be completely honest with you. I was punching the air when you mentioned Zinchenko then, because it gives me the perfect chance to ask you, where does Zinchenko go on this tier list? We are still going, and I will do it.
Ooh. I think he has to go in A again.
He has to go in A again, or...
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zinchenko has been put in A yet, but it's... Yeah, he's obviously brilliant. I think there's loads more. We spoke about him quite a lot before. Yeah, he's adding a new dimension to the side. He is the reason that we constantly keep teams under pressure. He's allowed Xhaka to push forward into his role because Zinchenko sits where Xhaka used to in that deep lying area. And yeah, just incredible.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say. We've covered him so much. So, yeah, easily into the A tier. Another man who can play at attacking midfield, it's Emile Smith-Rowe. Where does Smith-Rowe go?
Tell you what, this will probably be the lowest ranking.
Is this going to be... Ooh, I was expecting it to be someone else, but okay.
I'm not sure. It's a lot of this is not down to him. He's just injuries this season has just really been harsh on him, and he's not really been able to get going because he's came back during a time where Arsenal desperately need every point they can get, and we've actually got a lot of players that can play in the roles that he can play, and it's led to a lot of Arsenal fans maybe pondering about his future. But I think they're a little bit short-sighted with that. I think after a pre-season coming up this summer, I think Arteta really loves him, and the team really love him, and he's got so many good qualities that he hasn't been able to show off this season. But yeah, it's quite hard to give him a high rating because he's barely played.
Okay.
So I don't think it would be fair to give him an F either. Though.
Gutted. Go on, give us an F. If he's going to be your worst, put it in an F. Go on.
Go on then, yeah.
Go on, come on.
F.
Let's go.
ML Smith-Rowe.
Now, he wasn't the guy.
Now it means he's going to have a superb redemption arc.
Exactly.
He's going to go from F to A.
Yeah, well, I don't want that because if you could sell him to us this summer for 30 million, that'd be lovely. He wasn't the man I was expecting to put into F. The guy who I was expecting was a January signing, Jakub Kiwior. Yeah, because I mean I don't know how to pronounce his name, and the fact he's not played that much, I was kind of thinking he might be your get out of jail free card. But no, you've gone for Smith-Rowe.
I think it would be incredibly harsh to say he's been F, but yes,
I mean it is for Smith-Rowe as well, isn't it?
Played.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean Smith-Rowe.
I've just scammed you there, but we're sticking with it.
It's alright. Yeah, I mean there's not loads to talk about with Kiwior. We brought him in January. Pretty much just came in as a very much a backup signing for this season, and then he may develop into a very good left-footed centre half.
Indeed.
Arteta loves his left-footed centre halves,
and they cost a lot.
Yes, they do. But yeah, I think there's not much to talk about with him there. He may be one for the future, but he's not going to. I think I'll give him a D. A D.
There we go. We've got everyone in every tier, and that just makes it look so much better.
An E?
No, I haven't got an E tier. The tier list comes with 5, and I didn't add an extra one. Yeah, we've just gone D to F. Yeah, I just didn't add an E tier. Probably could. Do you want me to add an E tier? I can add an E tier if you want me to.
No.
Because then you'll have to put someone in that. And
yeah. I'm not having that.
Yeah.
I've had too many good players this season.
I bet it feels good. Speaking about one of those good players, let's go for Aaron Ramsdale. Where would you put Ramsdale, the man that goes on lots of YouTubers' podcasts, the man who has slated Chris MD, the man who has... what hasn't this man done? The man who has been on Ben Foster's podcast, the man who gave a lot of stick to our fan base. Cheers, Aaron. Where do you put Aaron Ramsdale?
Some people would say he is like the future Ben Foster. Wouldn't be
Would they?
Maybe it's just me, but I could see him being a very Ben Foster-esque person at the end of his career with a YouTube channel and probably a TikTok or something like that. You know, doing some dances.
Yeah, just don't do a Mason Mount.
Yeah, no, maybe not Mason Mount.
Maybe not.
But yeah, he's been great this season. I think probably quite underrated.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a few moments where he's not looked great because, I mean, sorry, pardon me there.
Don't worry.
But yeah, he's had his moments as quite an erratic goalkeeper, like most goalkeepers are these days that play with the ball out with their feet. They're pretty nuts generally. They have some real crazy moments. You see Ederson sometimes dribbling on the halfway line. Yeah, he's had his fair share of moments that put your heart in your mouth, but generally he's been really good. But also I wouldn't say he's been worthy of an A maybe, because I think that would be pretty much only Alisson is pretty much worthy of getting an A as a goalkeeper in the league. Maybe not this season. He's had a fair share of...
Yeah, I was going to say Ederson possibly up there.
Yeah, I think that Ederson...
Danny Ward.
Good, I think if you listen to... yeah, Danny Ward class.
Yep.
But I think interesting with Ederson, don't want to talk about too much, but a lot of City fans actually don't really rate him.
I know, it's a weird one, isn't it?
It is poor.
It is.
Statistically. But I think I'd give Ramsdale a B.
A Ramsdale a B. Fair enough. Ederson, yeah, I've just put him in C there. Yeah, Ederson's a weird one because he'd be a great midfielder.
Oh, he would be.
He would be an excellent 8.
Starting midfield for Leicester this season.
Well, to be fair, Tielemans is leaving, who we'll probably talk about later. So if you want to come in and be our Tielemans replacement, Ederson, I'm sure whoever our next manager is going to be a really, really exciting appointment. It definitely doesn't look like it's going to be Rafa Benitez at the moment.
What do you think about Tielemans this season? Because
well,
all the talk about him and Arsenal at the summer.
Well, he's in the next segment, so I might have to. We might have to leave him to that one. So if you're watching this in a video form, if the video's not out on the channel yet, click that bell notification so you get notified whenever I post the video. Speaking of somebody who has their notifications turned on for Daddy Talks Football, don't fact check it. Fabio Vieira. Seems like a Daniel Talks Football.
Yeah,
I
thought so.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
I mean, like, this easier screams Daniel Talks Football.
And the funny thing is, we didn't even know each other then. Yeah, screams it.
Yeah. This signing was absolutely unexpected from the Arsenal fan base. I think I was literally just jumping into bed at about 1 a.m. in New Zealand, and I just went on Twitter to have I always have my 5-minute scroll through Twitter before I go to bed because I'm addicted to my phone like everyone else is.
Yep.
And then I suddenly see some random reporter from Portugal reporting that Arsenal have completed a signing for Fabio Vieira, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, who's this reporter? Like, who? I don't believe it." But also to go out on a limb to say they have signed him suggests that it probably is true. And then about half an hour later, Fabrizio Romano confirmed it, and everyone was going absolutely nuts. You know, like, it's so exciting when a signing happens absolutely out of the blue.
Yeah,
you go on and look at the clips of him on YouTube, and he had about 14 assists from about 15 starts last season in Portugal, which
it's mental, wasn't it?
It's unreal, and he took his chances very well. And even this season, when he has played, he's often left the pitch with an assist or a goal. Like he always seems to leave the pitch with some stats going in his favour when he gets a good amount of minutes in the game. So yeah, I think because of how great some of his highlights looked on YouTube, some people had really high expectations for him.
He hasn't quite lived up,
and he probably hasn't lived up to it just about yet. But I also think if you look at the stature of him, he looks like he probably needs to get in the gym over the summer. He's quite thin.
He is.
He's very Bruno Fernandes-esque in the type of player he is in terms of he step heads and like in the best way possible. he seems to get goals and assists almost every time he
I know what you mean.
Plays 60, 70 minutes. And sometimes he doesn't even play that well and he still gets the assists of the goals. But yeah, I think we can expect a lot more of him next season, or at least hopefully.
Okay.
With a full pre-season under his belt, because when he actually got here, although he got there quite early in the pre-season, he was injured the entire time, which is not ideal at all. And yeah, I think this season though, I'm gonna have to give him a D.
A D? Oh, okay. I was wondering if you were going to go with C, but no, a D. Lovely. Come on, think of something better than that one, because I really can't say that to remain semi-child friendly. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you what the line is, considering you've just said the letter D.
Yes.
Yeah. Another guy who has a D in his name, Rob Holding. Another joker could have gone to do with a D there, to do with Holding. Where does Rob Holding rank, to move on from jokes to do with Holding Ds? Yes. Yeah, moving on. Very smooth. Very smooth.
Yes. If we were rating his hairline, it'd been A, but
indeed,
I can't do that. But I think it has to come into as a part of it, to be honest.
It does genuinely. You move him up a tier because of it.
I think his heading ability, it gives that little bit more of a length in his head.
It does. He's got a smaller forward.
6'1" to 6'3".
It means he's got a smaller forward as well.
Yes, of course. But yeah, on a serious note, he has been pretty good. When he's came into the team, he's done very well as a backup centre back. There's only so much you can ask of him. He's been very good. I don't think there's loads to talk about with Rob Holding, so I'm just going to go ahead and give him a standard C.
Fair enough. That is definitely fair enough. I've already prepared this one. Another man who has a lot of hair, Mohamed El Neni.
Well, similar to him, he's done pretty well when he came in, and then went and got himself injured for the rest of the season, which is brilliant. But no, he is so underrated. Like, he's not. I don't think he's a top class player, and I think most people would agree with that. But maybe if you've got a few Egyptian listeners, they might think he is world class.
Don't think I do. Don't think I do.
But yeah, he plays a real understated role in the team, and he is just so grateful to be at Arsenal.
Yeah.
I think when he went on loan to Besiktas a couple seasons ago, he was asked in an interview about what he wants to do with his Arsenal future, and he said, "Well, Arsenal's my family. It doesn't matter if what role I play. I just want to be there." And it's so admirable, because there's no reason to get rid of someone like that, because if he's happy to play 3 or 4 games a season off the bench, or maybe even start a couple Europa League games, or maybe next season Champions League games, then I mean, what's the point of getting rid of him? And he's clearly not a problem in the dressing room or anything. You can't imagine him being a big ego or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, obviously it's a shame with his injury, so I'll probably have to give him a D. But,
a D, right, fair enough.
Just because he's been injured, so you can't really argue with it. But yeah, big fan.
Yes, of course. Another man who you must be a big fan of, 4 to go after this, Martin Odegaard.
I was really waiting for this name to come up, because
that's why I've saved it.
Just excellent. He is unreal. And I tell you what, I was one of the people when, I think it was at the start of last season, when the talk was James Maddison or Odegaard. I was James Maddison. I was the one that
great
was
player
Maddison to come to Arsenal. And he's
great
a very good player.
He is.
Very good player, no doubt. And I'm sure if there's anyone that's going to attest to that, it's you.
Yes.
But
be careful what you say now, because I will back Maddison to the hills. We are dead and buried if it's not for him.
I'm not going to talk about Maddison. But I'm just going to say I think we made the right decision for us, because Odegaard, you can't even argue, he's just been unreal, and he's our captain now as well at his young age. Once again, I'm going to give it him, but.
Maddison would have cost double, so yes, I will say that Odegaard was the better option, because Maddison would cost double. Yeah, fair enough.
Coming from the Premier League, but yeah,
and we're Leicester.
Brilliant. Yes, exactly. But yeah, Odegaard's brilliant. He's added even more goals to his game than last season. He still missed a few very big chances this season. He could still be on quite a few more. But yeah, unreal. I think a lot of people talk about Thomas Partey because of his injury record, what would happen if he wasn't in the team, etc. But now that Jorginho's in the team, or in the squad, I think Odegaard would probably be, alongside Saka, our biggest loss if he was to come out of the team. So, there's no doubt you cannot not give him an A.
Yeah, so. I already dragged him there. I had a feeling where it was going.
Imagine how much... No, F.
Well, great.
Out of nowhere.
Title and thumbnail material.
Odegaard and F, yeah. Maybe if I was like a Troops or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder how... I'm going to have to try and twist Smith Rowe being an F to Saka being an F by some point. Like, they're both done through the academy. Can I somehow... Arsenal Youth Academy product in F out of performances this season? I haven't decided I'm going to do it yet, but I will find a way. Speaking about people who find a way... It's getting really, really hard now. Ben White.
Benny Blanco, as many of the Arsenal fans call him.
Indeed.
Which I actually had an interesting conversation about about this on Twitter. I thought it was about the producer Benny Blanco, but it turns out I don't know my Spanish, and Blanco actually means white in Spanish. So
you learn something new every day.
Indeed. Might be a bit of a double entendre with that.
Maybe, quite possibly.
But yeah, I don't think anyone expected him to have this type of season. Maybe they thought he would have a good season, but I don't think anyone thought he'd be Arsenal's superb right back all season. He's been great, and he just fits in seamlessly to that role. I actually remember when we signed him at the start of last season that some people thought that might be the role he plays for us at right back. Because I think at the time we hadn't signed Tomiyasu.
No, okay.
Yeah, so I think at that time some people were predicting that he would play there, and it didn't happen really very much last season, besides when Tomiyasu would get injured and Rob Holding would come in. He'd go to the right hand side. I think a lot of people forget that he did do that. Rob Holding, beautiful hairline. Have to stick that in.
Indeed.
But yeah, he's been superb, and his accommodations with Odegaard and Saka on that side have been really noticeable. It's been a really important trio in the team. They've just seamlessly worked together, and yeah, especially the last few weeks, he's really came into his own again. He probably had a couple, he had about 2 games where I think it was when we played Man United and Brentford, and against United in the first half, he got pretty ruined by Rashford, and I think that was at the peak of Rashford's form, and he didn't play at his best. I think he got yellow carded and he came off for Tomiyasu.
I think I remember that, yeah.
Tomiyasu's been brilliant, so it's like, when you replace Ben White for Tomiyasu, you're not losing a load. It's more of a case of we just have superb depth there, so we can afford to take him off.
Indeed.
And then I think maybe we played Brentford after that, and he wasn't too sharp as well. I'm not sure, but after that, besides those 2 games, he's been brilliant. And sorry to do this to you again, but it's got to be an A.
Another A. Wow. I remember Ben White fits very well into this elbow tactic you play.
The what, sorry?
The elbow. Have you heard of the Arsenal elbow tactic? Or am I going to enlighten you into something that you haven't heard of?
Yes, I'd love to hear this.
So, basically, it's your defence is in the shape of an elbow. I learned this through James Lawrence Alcott. If it's incorrect, please go and give him all the stick. So basically, your back 4 turns into a back 3. That's the simplest way to put it. Ben White drops in as a centre-back, or Tomiyasu, because they're both also centre-backs. And then Zinchenko, basically, obviously, as we've already spoken about, doesn't stay as the left-back. So, basically, your 3 centre-backs are your biceps, and then Zinchenko's kind of just, moved out. And just gone into another. Yeah, does that make sense? Please say that makes sense.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Thank God for that.
I'm not sure I massively agree. I mean, I see what he means, but I think Ben White's probably more. I don't maybe last season he was more of a inverted centre half, but he gets forward quite a lot this season. Not in the same way as Zinchenko. But yeah, I see what he means by it. But yeah, maybe slightly inaccurate.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move from.
Yeah, A.
Yeah, yep, got that. Let's move from one man who has elbows to another man who has elbows.
Oh, brilliant transition. My favourite one.
Really? I've given up. Which man? Let's go for Trossard. He's got elbows.
I did not know he had elbows until you said that, So.
You learn something new every day.
Of course. Yeah, Trossard. It's been unreal. And I have a feeling you might have to start dragging this in early to ascend A.
Wow.
It's unreal. You know what? We'll change it up. We'll give him a B because he's only scored 1 goal.
Okay.
But 7 assists is also incredible for someone who's just signed in January. I think he's the maybe the second most open play assists in the league since he's joined. Oh, not even since he's joined, I think. It's just overall. And that's just for Arsenal. 7 assists. Which is unreal, obviously.
Very good.
And he came in and pretty much made us forget about Jesus for a month or so. And yeah, he's brought up the performances of Martinelli and Saka, and he's genuinely, if you just came to watch the Premier League and you watch an Arsenal game and saw Trossard, you would not think he was a new signing at all.
No.
I think that's probably the biggest compliment you give to him. He just fitted in seamlessly.
Yes.
What I meant to say. Yeah, sorry, I think I've been on this podcast for a while now, so starting to
mate, it's fine, it's 10:15. You don't need to speak to me about lack of English skills. Okay, B, fair enough. Come on, Dan, you're 2 left. From one man who has hair to another man who has hair, Kieran Tierney.
Wow, these transitions are stunning.
There's only one more
Kieran
left.
Tierney. No, fair enough. He's one of my favourite players, but it's just not been a great season for him overall. He hasn't really done much wrong, but Zinchenko's just came in and been unreal, and he's a very traditional left back, Tierney.
He is.
He is the most traditional left back you'll see. He could put him back in the 1980s and he'd play in the exact same way, and he wouldn't look out of place. Having said that, he actually is quite technically sound. He's just a little bit erratic at times. He's willing to absolutely boot the ball into Rose there as soon as the ball gets near our goal, which part of me loves it, but also very different to Zinchenko. It probably takes about 20 touches and nutmegs 3 players before he gets rid of it. So, yeah, no, he has played well when he has opportunities, but the opportunities have been rare. But obviously, yeah, you can't go give someone an A or B who's barely played as much as I want to. But I think for himself, I don't think he would rate it as a good season, so I think I have to give him a D.
A D, right. 1 left. How do I link Kieran Tierney to Eddie Nketiah?
I'm trying to think who it was, actually.
Yeah, it's Big Eddie. Eddie sounds like it could be a name from Scotland, and Kieran Tierney came from Scotland. So, because Eddie sounds like it's a name that could possibly maybe have some level of Scottish origin, what do you think of Eddie Nketiah? God, that was hard.
That was that one was actually quite good, to be fair.
Was it? Thank you.
Maybe that says a lot about what I was saying before. Maybe I was being a little bit sarcastic.
The elbows is my favourite.
The elbow was brilliant. But yeah, Nketiah, I think because of the job that Folarin Balogun is doing in League 1, Eddie Nketiah is always brought up in that conversation, and it really frustrated me the other day. I did a post about like a quote from Balogun and just kind of congratulating him on how well he's done, and almost 50% of the comments were about Nketiah, and people couldn't praise Balogun without saying, "Oh, we should sell Nketiah and use him." Well, it's like, well, we're going to be in the Champions League next season, and we're going to need a lot of players, so maybe just wait and let Arteta make that decision. It's not your job. Just realise that Nketiah has actually done a really good job for us. He's got 9 goals this season as a backup striker, which is, you can't really ask much more than that. And he came into the team when Jesus was injured, and a lot of people were really, really worried about about that impact, because Jesus had been brilliant for us, and Nketiah has had very little experience as a starting striker for Arsenal, although he did very well when he came in at the end of last season, rather. But yeah, he came in and scored 2 goals against Man United and scored a goal against Brighton and a goal against West Ham. Maybe I'm missing another one or two, but yeah, he's been really good as a backup striker. But also, there was a reason he did come out of the team, because it probably stopped working as well in the last few games that he was starting, and Trossard came in and was superb. But yeah, he's been good, and I'd have to give him a B.
A B. There we go. That is probably the longest tier list ever done on the channel. This video is just short of 50 minutes. So I hope everybody at home has enjoyed this one. I certainly have. We'll take another short break here before we come back to speak about some transfer targets. Right, we're back, and it's the latest to ever record the podcast by at least an hour. It's 10:30. And we're here to rate. Are we rating them? Should we rate them out of 10? Let's rate each one out of 10, I think. Let's rate some Arsenal summer transfer targets. We'll start off with midfielders. I've got 4 centimetres in front of me. These are Tielemans, Rice and Caicedo. Which one do you want to start with? Who do you want to talk about first?
Just because I briefly mentioned it earlier, I did just kind of want to ask your opinions on Tielemans before we get into
Tielemans, okay. What do you want? What just opinions in general? How he's been this season?
Yes, but also what you think will happen with him in the summer.
Right, so he's leaving, obviously.
Yes.
I think that hasn't been 100% certain, because he did pick up a big ankle injury that initially we were like, this could keep him out for quite a few months, at which point we were going, he might sign a new contract here. It was then revealed to be 6 weeks, and he will be coming back in a couple of weeks, and he will be back. Everybody knows Tielemans is a good player. The FA Cup final goal will go down in Leicester City folklore in just what a player he is. However, this season he hasn't been great. He's a bit sluggish on the ball, a little bit slow to release it. He hasn't been helped by the fact that the guy who used to be so good alongside him, Wilfred Ndidi, has turned to... well, he's awful. Genuinely, non-plus Mendy is somehow better than him at this point, and he was a player that was out in the cold, and basically Xhaka, but worse. And we didn't all hate him. Only part of the fan base did.
Well, I had no idea about the Ndidi thing. I still thought he was class, to be honest.
Genuinely, he'll have 12 months left in his contract this summer. If he goes for anything above 25 million, I'll be shocked. He has been awful.
Do you think there still could be a team that picks him up for a decent amount of money just because of his reputation?
Who, Ndidi?
Because a lot of people seem to rate him as a top midfielder in the Premier League.
I flip him, I hope so. If you want to come through and pay 30 million, please.
Maybe Newcastle will go and pay like 50 million for him. Something.
50? Yes. Well, please.
He's on a stricture about half of the season every season.
Do you want me to drive him there? I can't drive. Do you want me to drive him there? He might not arrive. We're rhyming now. But yeah, Tielemans, good player, just hasn't played very well this season, but I can't hate on the bloke. Wherever he goes, I will support him. And he made one of the best moments in my life come true. Sorry, future kids, you're coming in at least number 3. Because winning the Premier League, seeing that live, and then watching on TV Tielemans scoring a goal in the FA Cup final, not being topped by any of you guys being born. So yeah, I love him, but not been great. So yeah, Tielemans, Rice and Caicedo. Talk me through those options that Arsenal have this summer, and who do you think they will end up actually going for?
So Tielemans is someone we've been linked to for a long time. And I think because of that, some Arsenal fans almost have gone off him now. But listening to you talk about him there, it makes me feel like he's the type of player that if you put him in the right environment, he would really thrive. You know, like similar to Xhaka probably, because Xhaka is someone that in the wrong environment can look pretty horrible because of the type of player he is. He's not very quick, and that'd be fair to say about Tielemans as well. He's not very quick at all, but playing in that left 8 role, I could see him being very effective. Having said that, I would rather the next 2 players on the list. I think their profiles really do fit exactly what we want to do. The high pressure, energy, and then the youth as well. Like they'll be there for a long time. I know Tielemans isn't old either, but
No.
There's been a lot of talk about Arsenal's youth, and that's right. But the one area in the pitch that isn't actually very youthful is midfield. If you notice, Partey and Xhaka are nearing on 30 or 30. I think Xhaka.
El Nene as well, of course, in there.
El Nene too, of course. But yeah, it feels like if there's an area that does actually need to become a little bit younger, it would be there. And Caicedo is a superb player and can play in the 6 or the 8 role, and same can be said of Declan Rice. And interestingly enough, I actually thought Declan Rice was going to be our number 6, but the way that we're talking about getting both Rice and Caicedo, I start to get the feeling that Rice actually might play as the 8, and it might be Caicedo that plays as the number 6 next season. But yeah, either way, I think I'd love both of those guys to come in. So we're going to give them all a rating. Tielemans would still be like if Arteta. I think most Arsenal fans are at the stage. If Mikel Arteta wants this player, we want that player too.
Okay.
So if Tielemans comes in, happy. But at the moment, I'd say Tielemans maybe a 5 or a 6. Actually, I think a 6 would be more fair because I think he's a good player. But then I'd give Rice. I really like Declan Rice, so I'd say a 9. Caicedo maybe an 8.
Okay, fair enough. One thing I do want to speak about with Tielemans that tactically, we're going back to our Bill tactic days. He likes to drop it. He has recently for us, because of Ricardo Pereira or Castagne deciding to bomb on up the right hand side. He has been dropping back into the right half space, so kind of becoming a right back ish before he picked up his injury. I'm not quite sure how that would work with Arsenal, or if you just have to lose that from his game altogether, with obviously you having a right back that stays back. But if he were to then be able to fill into the left half space and become that fill-in left back, then that would be very, very interesting. So on a tactical point of view, it interests me. And that will have gone over half of the listeners' heads.
Yeah, it is. It is interesting what you said though, because that is the same type of thing Xhaka used to do in the left half space. Not the left half space, but that left back area when Tierney would used to bomb forward.
Yeah.
Assuming that's similar to what Ricardo Pereira does, you guys.
Yeah, he's a right winger basically at this point.
Yeah, that's what Tierney was essentially when we were going forward, and Xhaka would fit into that role. But now that Zinchenko's came into the team, Xhaka plays in the left half space and quite high forward, and he's not as reliant in the build-up. And I mean, if Xhaka can make that transition, I'm sure Tielemans could too.
Yeah, I'm sure he can. So there we go. There's a little bit of tactical talk on our left half spaces about Tielemans to do with the elbow tactic. And we will move from midfield out to the right-hand side. And we've got 3 right wingers down here, because obviously Saka needs a proper backup. Trossard is the proper backup for Martinelli. Saka needs a proper backup because I think it's probably fair to say Reece Nelson probably isn't as... I know you like him, but he probably isn't the be-all and end-all right-wing backup for Saka.
Yeah, well, I mean, Reece Nelson is the original star boy, but...
Of course.
I love him a bit, but also I couldn't complain if Arteta decided to bring in another right-winger this summer, because Reece Nelson, he's had chances and it hasn't happened for him. I mean, I think he has been a little bit unfortunate, but and if Arteta decided he wants to give Reece Nelson that shot next season, you couldn't really argue with me, because he's had his moments this season and he's got talent for sure. But to be honest, I think as much as it will hurt, I think it may be the best thing for both parties for him to go and get regular first team football next season.
Yeah, and
maybe he's absolutely capable.
There's many clubs that will take him, around, in that 12th to 20th bracket at the moment. Any of the sides that stay up out of that, or any of the sides that come up. I could see him doing quite well at Burnley under Company, to be honest.
Oh wow, that'd be nice.
Combining with Scott Twine, the poshest man I think I've ever seen or heard. He is so posh. But we are looking at a new right winger for when he moves on. And we have 3 options down here. Now there's a theme. Ferran Torres, Ousmane Dembele and Rafinha. Can anyone tell what the theme might be to do with right wingers that Arsenal are looking at? Because I'm a little bit puzzled.
I can't tell.
Is it maybe something to do with the... No, they're all different nations. Oh, yeah, they all play for Barcelona. But talk me through these, then.
Okay, starting with... how about Ferran Torres?
Yeah.
Ferran Torres. He is someone that quite briefly linked to him in January.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of Arsenal fans have kind of made that link themselves because of the connection with Man City and because he can play everywhere across the front three. And yeah, I mean, he's a pretty top player when he gets going, and we saw that in his brief stint at Man City. And Arsenal fans are very desperate for Saka to not burn out by the age of 25.
Indeed.
So they want to give him a little bit of rest at times.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's a good player. I'm not sure. I can't say I've watched him loads, but I'm not sure he's really a similar profile to Saka on the right hand side.
He's right-footed, I think, as well.
Yes, he is right-footed, and he gives me. I think he's more of an inside forward. Yeah, he's not really someone that's on the touchline and like Saka or Martinelli. But having said that,
it's a different option.
Trossard's not really the same as Martinelli on the left-hand side. They're quite different left wingers.
Yeah.
So it's not impossible that we go for someone like Torres.
No.
But I think there are maybe there isn't a great market for right wingers. To be honest, I think there's a reason that, as much as I love saying Saka probably is, if not the best, or he'd be the second or third best right winger in the world at the moment, which I think would be fair.
Yeah.
But I think that's also because there aren't that many good right wingers in the world. No. Say it quietly so Arsenal fans don't beat me up. For Ferran Torres, yeah, I give him maybe a 6 out of 10.
Okay, 6 out of 10, alright. And how does that compare to Dembele and Rafinha?
So Dembele is someone we were just linked to all the time back in the day when he just wasn't performing at Barcelona. And since he has been performing at Barca, I think a lot of fans really love him there. So as much as he's a good player, but he also seems to struggle to stay fit, would be an understatement. So to be honest, as much as he's a talented player, I don't really want him at Arsenal. I mean, if Arteta wanted to bring him in, sure, I suppose, but it still wouldn't be something they'd be massively comfortable with Arsenal's history of players that just sit in the injury room all season. So I'm going to give that one a 4.
A 4, okay. And then Rafinha, a man that you have obviously been very strongly linked with in the past.
Yes, I am a huge fan of Rafinha. I think he's so talented, so talented. We saw how much of a leader he can be as well, playing for Leeds, and he was really... Can you imagine that Leeds team last season without Rafinha? Like, they barely survived by the skin of their teeth, and Rafinha had some superb moments for them. Clutch in many important times for them. And yeah, he's looked pretty good for Barcelona as well. I mean, there was a time where he probably wasn't getting the game time maybe that he wanted at Barca, but having said that, we've just mentioned 3 different top right wingers that could potentially be an option for Arsenal in the summer. So it's probably understandable. But yeah, I think he really suits that role that Saka plays as a right winger, right on the touchline, and he has the creative ability, the dribbling. He's also not bad on his left foot. On his right foot. And he has the ability to play on the left if we need him to as well. So I think he would be the best option on the market. I think for us. Having said that, I think there was already a quote from someone at Barcelona in January that he's not for sale.
He's not for sale. Yes.
Having said that,
everyone is for sale.
Everyone is for sale, and Barcelona especially, with the finances and the problems they've had.
Yeah, I mean.
So I think, if you put enough money on it, you can definitely get it.
They can't register Gavi because they're in so much debt. So they will need to make 200 million this summer, or even if Gavi doesn't want to leave for free, he will have to because they physically will not be able to play him. I think that's the case, unless he could stay on with his youth contract, but that is not an option that they really want to go down. So yeah, I think I think that's fair enough, and I think Rafinha could be an option he could get out and would fit in at Arsenal very, very well.
Yeah, I think if I was Edu, just you just put the pressure on Barcelona. Say here's 50 million. We'll give you 50 million now. You keep Gavi. You still have two pretty good right wingers. Give it a go. Because I think it makes a lot of sense for them to sell one of those right wingers if they're trying to keep Gavi. So.
Perfect. And then we move on into the strikers. Now, I have three strikers, again, in front of me. These strikers are Osimhen, Vlahovic and Haaland. Haaland's probably the one that people might not know about from that. Obviously, the new Atalanta Danish striker who was kind of just blown up in the last sort of couple of months, I guess it's probably fair to say. What do you rate of these strikers, and which one would you like to bring in as competition for Gabriel Jesus?
So I heard Haaland is actually the new robot that has been introduced by Tesla. After Haaland, Haaland is the new model.
I heard Elon Musk had a bit of fun with him.
Yes. Oh, that's an interesting statement to say.
Right, no, shut up. I'm not having any. That's what she said. So anything like that, we're moving.
Sorry, I've been watching a little bit too much of The Office.
No one's still listening to this at this point. They gave up at elbows.
Yeah. I'm sure they have. We're just here talking to ourselves at this
Pretty
point.
much.
Haaland is an interesting one. I actually made a post about him on Instagram the other day, and it because of the hype around him recently, got a fair few likes, but it also came with a fair few comments getting very angry at me for a very limited link, which it was. There wasn't much in it, but it was from a good reporter saying that Arsenal are one of the obviously loads of clubs are looking at him. Arsenal were one of them. And that's all I reported, but then people are in the comments going, fake news, and it's like, well, you haven't read the caption, have you? Because I didn't say he's coming to Arsenal. I said Arsenal are one of the many teams, probably about 40 or 50 teams in Europe that could afford him, and yeah, interested in him. But
yeah.
Anyways, sorry, that's just my little rant.
Go ahead, don't worry.
But I can't see it happening. Because he's probably at Atalanta, with the way that the prices are going these days, he's probably going to be worth 80 or 90 million, and it's just like he looks like a talented player, but I don't really know enough about him just yet to say that it's going to be a great signing or whatever. He matches the profile in terms of really athletic, tall forward. I think if we're going to get a striker in, which I'm not sure we will, because obviously I mentioned before, got Nketiah and then Bellingham coming back, and then Jesus, and trust that as well. There's a lot of options there. So if we're going to bring someone in, someone would have to go. But I would say with, is it Haaland?
Yeah.
Listen, as I said, if Arteta wants him, sure. So he seems like a decent player, but I don't know enough about him to judge, so I'm going to get with a 5.
Okay. And then what we're saying?
What we've got left, Osimhen and
Vlahovic.
Vlahovic has quite a strong connection.
He does.
Not personally.
He was very close to joining, wasn't he? Or you wanted him at least.
Yes, we really wanted him, but I think a lot of Arsenal fans are burnt by what happened, because the agents did not even pick up at his phone calls because they were so determined to go to Juventus. But
classic.
Fair to say, Arsenal fans have loved to see the downfall of not only Juventus but also Vlahovic. I mean, Vlahovic hasn't been terrible, but I mean, Juventus has been poor, and he's been one of the players who hasn't been too sharp either. And in the meantime, Arsenal are at the top of the league. So, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of Arsenal fans calling for us to get drawn with Juventus in the Europa League because we really wanted to teach them a lesson. But, he's still a talented player, of course, and there's a reason Arsenal wanted him and Arteta wanted him. And actually, out of all the three, I think he would maybe be the most realistic of happening.
Okay.
I think because Osimhen, he's unreal and probably will be going for upwards of 100 million.
Well, 150 even.
Wow.
Knowing what Napoli won, and with Kvaratskhelia as well.
Yeah, I suppose with I mean, it was back in 2016 and 17 they were trying to claim Koulibaly for about 80 or 90 million, and that was before centre back signings were even like that. So I'd say Vlahovic would be the most likely. I'd say maybe a 7.
Okay.
Oh no, maybe 7.
7.
And
Okay.
then, to be fair, I'd actually rather Osimhen, but we're talking about money here as well, and I don't want to spend that much money on that.
No.
Well, we've got some decent strikers, so I'd say a 6.
Okay, fair enough. Well, there we go. That is the end of the longest podcast we have ever done. It has been an absolute pleasure, mate, genuinely. You've made it worth my while staying up until 10 to 11. Usually I would now edit this. Not happening. So thank you so much for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there anything you want to plug before we go to anybody who's managed to listen to this, in which case, well done you.
So check out my Instagram. Be happy to have you guys on there at AFCFanNation _. I post Arsenal, any type of Arsenal news or updates or just interesting things to do with Arsenal. Recently hit 50,000 on there, so very happy.
Well done you, yes.
Very happy man. Thank you. And yeah, it's growing very quickly. So if you want to be a part of that, feel free to join up. And also, honestly, what I really need more is people to follow me on Twitter, because Twitter is far harder to get following on. I've only got like 500 followers on there, and I'm a regular poster on there, which isn't a great advertisement, but I am trying.
You know what?
I'll say.
I don't use Twitter, but I do have a Daniel Talks Football Twitter, so if you give it a shout out right now, you'll gain one more follower.
Oh, there we go. Follow Daniel Talks Football on Twitter. More important, far better than AFC Fan.
Genuinely, I haven't posted on Twitter in ages. Yes, AFC Fan Nation. Is that you? Are your tweets protected, or was that that must be somebody else?
No, I can't imagine.
AFC Fan Nation. Oh no, there you are. Yes, 552 followers, and you know what? Wow. It's now 553. So
I've just seen it pop up. That's beautiful. That's absolutely
yes, I haven't used Twitter.
I followed you back as well. You're now on 11.
I haven't used Twitter in many months. But yes, thank you for coming on, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And to all those at home that are still listening, well done. I owe you all a chocolate bar, and I'll catch you all again in the next podcast. See ya.